This is the million-dollar question. Will Bitcoin hit all-time high again this year in 2025? Now, I've got some important information that I do believe you could be very interested in. Now, as you know, we have seen the stock market crash. The S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow Jones down 20 to 25%. We have had the collapse already, bringing that extreme fear. Okay. Also in crypto, we have seen extreme fear for the last few weeks and months. We are down at levels seen in the C19 crash in 2020 and also in June, July of 2021. Now, the two times we were down here, it was actually bottoming out and we got a very strong reversal. So that's something to take into consideration. When we do take a look at the Bitcoin chart, considering the 4-year cycle theory, the price usually peaks out and finds all-time high throughout the end of the year. In 2017, we peaked out just under $20,000 in December. In 2021, we peaked in November just under $70,000. So throughout the end of the year, considering the 4-year cycle theory. What is very interesting is this price action that we did form throughout end of 2020 and part of 2021, right? Just when we peaked here under $70,000. When we get the bars pattern and we consider this price action, you can see that we have moved in a very similar way, right? Throughout the end of 2020, peaking out, creating that choppy price action at $100,000. And now getting this major collapse throughout February, coming down to the 80K levels. Now that collapse did happen in May of 2021, and we consolidated throughout June and July. Right now we are consolidating throughout March, April. Now it is very interesting the similarities that we do have from this price action, which was an accumulation, right? Reaccumulation schematic right over here. Getting the spring points, testing the lows, and getting a significant bounce, right? Even heading up to all-time high. Now, I have no doubt that we will be seeing a relief rally. We will be likely seeing a nice move to the upside, heading to 95 and very likely hitting $100,000. The question is, will it be a relief rally? Will it be an exit liquidity bounce? And then we form a lower high and then go to the bear market? Or will we head up to all-time high, right? If we consider the 4-year cycle theory, yeah, in the next few months, heading to the end of the year, that is very possible that we do get to all-time high. Now, I have no doubt that that relief rally is going to happen in the next coming weeks, heading to $95,000, $100,000, just because of the local price action looks very, very corrective, okay? And that is important to note, right? When you have a movement down, is it looking very impulsive and it looks devastating, right? It looks like we're going to head to lower levels, or is it very corrective, right? You don't have strong impulsive moves. Going through the daily time frame, when we do see the similarities of the price action that we did have throughout May and August of 2021, which was an accumulation. The question is, is these 3 peaks that we formed throughout February, March, okay, part of April as well, is this an accumulation? When we go to the daily time frame, we can see with this picture right over here, the Wyckoff reaccumulation schematic 1, you can see that we are following this pretty nicely, right? We got the major move down throughout the end of February, got a nice relief pump, retesting the lows, okay, forming a local double bottom, a slight relief rally here to then only come down here just in the last couple of weeks to revisit below $76,000 and even hitting $74,000. That could be the spring point. Now, we need to focus on the 4-hourly time frame, 1-hourly time frame with this local bounce to try and figure out, okay, is it possible that we are having this spring point and all of this is just going to be a consolidation? We might correct down ever so slightly. Well, we need to focus on this price action. This is the 1-hourly time frame. Since we revisited the lows at $74,000, this was just 2 weeks ago, we can see how the price rallied pretty nicely, right? Nice little uptrend, and now we're going sideways. Now, this is a very complex range. It's a very complex momentum that you can be definitely in doubt. Is the low in? Are we going to rally from here? Or are we expecting a nice corrective move to the downside, right? Where we are, we realize the downtrend that we are in throughout the last few months, right? You would say, come on, this is just going to be another lower high, and we are ready to head to lower levels, right? We're ready to get to $80,000, get below $80,000, and potentially even test the lows. In a downtrend, you would expect the lows to be tested again, right? But it's very interesting to see the similarity of the price action that we had in May to July of 2021. You have 3 peaks. This is like the key thing, right? You usually get 3 peaks, 2 or 3 peaks. We had the 3 peaks in 2021 when we got the crash in May. It is forming right over here. We do have the reaccumulation schematic possibility. It does look very, very nice. Now, the question is, how did we move up here, right? What are the scenarios? And this is where it gets very difficult analyzing this price action. You would want to believe that this is impulsive, right? However, it's very confusing. This could be corrective or it can be an ascending contracting move. Both fit in very nicely. Of course, in an impulse, you have your third wave being very explosive. That is very easy. That looks very strong. If you move down in a sideways 3-wave structure, it's very easy to detect that, okay, this is bullish and this price action will very likely bottom out and then move to the upside. However, with this structure, we have the bullish case scenario, which would be this one right over here. We have seen an ascending contracting move in 5 waves, and now we are forming a very complex sideways corrective move. We possibly have a zigzag in this range, another zigzag here to form your X. And right over here, you are forming your Y wave, which is a triangle. We're kind of trying to break out. We're getting a bit of a retracement. Is it possible that we do maintain 83,600 and we form a higher low and just continue to the upside to attempt to break above $86,500, right? The highs that we had here just on last Tuesday. Very possible, yes. Now, of course, the other extreme bullish case scenario. Now, if this is counted as an impulse, right, and a contracting move, right, you see that leading move to the upside, this would have to be your wave 2, right? Wave 1, wave 2, extreme bullish case scenario. We start breaking in a wave 3 here to the upside. Now, there is a problem with this. Now, regardless if you do count this as a sideways WXY in a zigzag, zigzag, and a triangle here in your Y, which looks very good. We attempted to break out, not much of a breakout, very poor in price action, but at least it is, heading to the upside. We're forming higher lows. You do have the other scenario here, which would be that ABC flat, right? When you do take a look at the ABC flat, which is possible, right? You get the A wave, the B wave, the C wave. And right now you're just building up here, multiple 1-2 setups, and you're just ready for 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, right? Head up to higher levels in the next coming days. There is a problem counting this as a flat and the start of an impulse from this low. You have huge amount of overlap, very 3-wave structures overlapping beneath these waves. It's very hard to count this as a bullish structure, right? Because you would have to come to the conclusion that you're looking for multiple 1-2s, and this is very 3-wavy to the upside. It doesn't look very promising as the start of a new wave to the upside. So the ABC flat doesn't look too great. I prefer the WXY, which, looks very, very promising, right? The breakout has been very poor. So it doesn't, for the moment with this price action, you would want to see an explosive breakout out of a triangle, right? You got the lower highs, higher lows here throughout the last few days. You want to see a very solid breakout here, and that is currently not happening. So what is the bearish case? The bearish case is looking at a finished corrective structure, which would be a double zigzag, right? You've had the zigzag here, the first and part of the second week of April, you have the steep corrective move in your wave X. And right over here, you have another zigzag move finishing your Y, meaning that you have a double zigzag, which is a corrective structure. After this corrective structure, of course, what you want to see is a new trend to the downside. You've had your first movement to the downside here throughout the 15th, 16th of April. Right now, all of this is some kind of a corrective structure, and now you are ready to break below $83,000 and head to much lower levels, right? Forming possibly the start of a new impulsive move down or form a three-wave corrective structure. It's going to be very important to analyze the local scenarios, guys, and I will be going live later on, okay, to analyze very carefully what is happening on the lower time frame and see the highest probabilities on the different movements that could happen locally. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, because we'll be focusing with pure technical analysis on the lower time frames later on today. If we do see the bullish case scenario, well, is it possible that we do correct down here? All right. And then we form a higher low at some point, give or take $80,000, right? Maybe $78,000. Is it possible that all of this becomes part of a corrective move and then we rally? Well, I have to say it's too soon to really speculate on this, right? We need to see the move down, and then we will combine all of this price action to see if we are forming a larger complex WXY structure where we do have a flat right over here. We could be forming something else in this range in a corrective move. And then we have a zigzag down in this price action. Then we have a larger WXY. We could be forming a triangle later on down here as well. It is very, very possible, right? Where we get the movement to the downside and then we start forming a triangle. We need more information based on the next move. Right now, there are too many scenarios on the higher time frame, and this is why later on I'm going to focus on the lower time frame on the stream, guys. So make sure to subscribe. We'll be focusing on the lower time frame to see what is the highest probability move and see if we can find some very good local trading setups. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.